The world waits for Bernanke. The Fed chairman gives his keynote speech at the central bankers gathering in Jackson Hole. Will the Fed chairman hint at more QE or not? And Apple and Google could be in secret talks to resolve their patents dispute. More on that story later in the show. First, let's get to Berenberg Bank European economist Christian Schulz to talk about Bernanke and the ECB. Morning to you, Christian. The markets are nervous pre-Bernanke. Are they right not to be expecting much?
Well, it's been an up and down over the last 2 weeks. When the minutes were published of the last meeting of the FOMC beginning of August, it looked as though QE was really imminent. But then all the comments from policymakers, especially from the regional Fed governors coming after that, pretty much pointed out that, yes, in the beginning of August, things looked pretty bad, but ever since they have improved. And if we look at the data, that's true. So we're not expecting QE right now.
So you're not expecting anything today?
We're not expecting him to announce that QE will start anytime soon. We expect him to announce that the Fed stands ready to act if things deteriorate, but there's no sign of that at the moment.
Chances are then the markets are going to carry on falling after this speech.
I think those people who are still betting on QE to start imminently will be disappointed, and yes, that would mean that markets would turn south.
Okay, let's talk about the ECB. What do you make of these Weidmann resignation rumours?
Very interesting. Last year, Weber, the then president of the Bundesbank, and Stark, the then chief economist of the ECB, the two Germans on the ECB governing council, stepped down. And that really triggered fears that, especially across the Atlantic in America, but also in other parts of the world, that Germany might leave the euro. Now, if Weidmann did that, clearly that would stoke these fears again and could spread panic once again. But the good thing is, in the Spiegel interview this weekend, Weidmann said that he is in the right place, so clearly he's decided to stay. And
so
not
we believe
down.
Spiegel and not Bild.
Well, I'm sure there is some truth to what Bild had in it, but it's past. He is there to stay, it appears.
And then pre-ECB meeting next week, we've had these Novotny comments. Economic uncertainty is up massively, he said. Is Mario Draghi going to heed any of this next week?
Hope so, but the key question is it just going to be this spread cap type of intervention to stop the market panic, or are they also going to alleviate monetary policy, cut rates, do more LTROs, that sort of thing? We would not expect any rate cuts or LTROs in the short term. We would expect them to try to make the policy work rather than make it even looser than it already is. I think one interesting point today was also that Asmussen, the German on the executive board, said that the IMF could also be one of the IMF involvement could be one of the conditions for involvement of the ECB. So that would mean that the IMF would also basically get a veto over ECB action. Okay,
Christian, many thanks. This morning's big corporate story, we mentioned it at the top. Apple and Google in secret talks, according to Reuters sources. The tech giants reportedly discussing intellectual property, including mobile technology. The talks stepping up after Apple's victory over Samsung on smartphone patents. Now Apple and Google may be trying to find a way to stop their own dispute going to the courts. A small victory, though, for Samsung in Japan after a Tokyo court ruling that Samsung did not violate an Apple patent involved in syncing mobile devices and computers. Reuters' Tara Joseph joins me now from Hong Kong. What impact is the ruling having, Tara?
Well, a bit of a morale boost, really, after what has been a bruising week for Samsung. And its shares did get a little bit of a ride up towards the end of the session. Here's what Samsung said in a statement. It said it welcomed the decision and that it confirms its long-held position that Samsung products do not infringe Apple's intellectual property. This is just one in a series of patent cases around the world, Axel. The next big milestone to watch out for will be that expected ruling on Apple's request to ban sales of certain Samsung products in the States, and that's not due to late September. So we'll keep hearing about this tit-for-tat over patent cases, I think, until then.
All right. A little less glamorous, some economic data out of Japan and India. What do these numbers tell us?
Well, let me really tell you about India, the world's second most populous nation. And on the plus side, we had GDP. It was in at 5.5% for the second quarter, a little bit better than expectations. But really, the bigger is the downside, because the economy there is really suffering. It's sitting at 3-year lows. weak demand in the West is hurting, but also the biggest bump there is over a lack of spending and a lack of reform. Rating agencies threatening to downgrade India to junk status, so that wouldn't be very good. But you've had that in Portugal already, right? So growth of 5%,
right.
Maybe not so bad.
Exactly. Good point. All right, Tara, have a good weekend. Thanks a lot.
Have a good weekend.
Top world news story on Reuters this morning. Mitt Romney has been officially adopted as Republican presidential candidate. Speaking at the Tampa convention, he promised to focus on job creation and attacked President Barack Obama for broken promises.
I wish President Obama had succeeded because I want America to succeed. But his promises gave way to disappointment and division. This isn't something we have to accept. Now is the moment when we can do something. And with your help, we will do something.
Right, well, that is it for now. I will, though, leave you with our pick of the day. It's back at the RNC. The good, the bad, and the, dare we say it, downright odd. If you haven't seen Clint Eastwood's rather strange turn at the Republican National Convention, take a look. It was enough to prompt our reporters there to ask, did Eastwood lose the plot? I'm Axel Threlfall. This is Reuters.